What if everything we know about Elden Ring, the lore, the world, the connections, what if that's just the surface? And what if the Tarnished Edition isn't just a shiny re-release with bonus content, but something way more intentional? So today I want to dig into what the Tarnished Edition might really be doing behind the scenes. Not just what's in it, but why this content is being added now, because some of it raises real questions. Questions like, why are we seeing armor that looks like it's from completely different worlds? Why do some of the weapons feel faster, almost like they were built from a completely different combat rhythm? And why are these changes rolling out right before Night Rain, a game that's literally about worlds bleeding into one another? This might not be just DLC, this could be the beginning of something much bigger. Because once you start really digging into what they've added, some of it feels off? Like it doesn't quite belong. Certain weapons, armor sets is like pieces from another puzzle entirely. But when you line that up with what we've seen of Shadow of the Erdtree and hints dropped in Night Rain teasers, it starts to feel a lot less like coincidence and a lot more like setup. None of this feels random. FromSoft doesn't do random. If they're tweaking systems or slipping in new lore, there's a reason. So, without further ado, let's do it. Where do we start? Well, how about with the new armor sets? One of which is pretty much a straight up copy of fan favorite Lucatiel's gear from Dark Souls 2. And if you've played that game, you know Lucatiel's whole deal is memory loss, slowly forgetting who she is, where she came from, and why she's even fighting. So seeing her armor show up here isn't just a little Easter egg, it's thematic, someone losing their sense of self, showing up in a place they don't recognize. That's the exact kind of story Night Rain seems to be heading toward. And it's not just Lucatiel. A few of the other new sets have these small, detailed textures, shapes, little design quirks that echo older FromSoft characters, like the two knights crossing the bridge in the trailer who look suspiciously like Henri and Horus from Dark Souls 3. Ah yes, well this is future Alden here, and the day before this video was supposed to come out, IGN released new gameplay and information about both the Tarnished Edition and Night Rain. And even though my initial thought was that these two characters had to be Henri and Horus, they are not. They are in fact just two new characters for starting classes. That's all they are. This whole thing kind of threw a wrench into the whole process and made me have to quickly get this up. So, however, that does not change the fact that it's not just the gear. It's like these characters are being pulled from somewhere else, like they've landed in the lands between, by accident or on purpose. Same goes for the weapons. Going back to Lucatiel for a moment, and look what they have done. They look to be bringing back her Mirror Greatsword, also known as the Hollow Slayer Greatsword by those of you who only got it in Dark Souls 3. FromSoft doesn't usually mess with combat systems this late in a game's life unless they're testing something for the future. This feels like groundwork. I need you guys to help continue to set the groundwork for the channel by subscribing and hitting the notification button to know when I post new videos, and so you know when I go live every Friday to mix it up with the community, and it would be great to see you there. So let's connect this back to Night Rain. We already know the new game is playing with the idea of different worlds overlapping, characters pulled in from elsewhere, showing up with powers or gear that shouldn't exist in that universe. That's the central hook. Now look at what Tarnished Edition is doing. Armor from past games, weapons with new attack styles, mount customization that completely changes how you navigate. These aren't just bonus features, these feel like a test lab, like they're experimenting with systems that will be fully realized in Night Rain. It's like they're saying, here's a sneak peek, let us know how it feels. And if you believe the theories floating around, the Night King is the one behind all of this. We don't know a ton about the Night King yet, but based on everything we've seen, he doesn't seem like your typical end boss. He's not just some powerful guy sitting on a throne waiting to get one shot. He feels bigger than that. More like a force, something that's changing how the world works. A lot of people think he's the one pulling characters and items from other universes, not to destroy them, but to bring them together. Almost like he's building something out of the scraps of broken worlds. And that theory lines up with some of the weird stuff in Tarnished Edition. These are just straight up items from another dimension, artifacts that were never meant to be here, but are. And if the Night King is behind all of this, he might not be a villain. He might be a curator, a collector, someone who's trying to preserve what's left of these crumbling timelines before they disappear completely. Let's zoom out a bit. This idea of characters getting pulled from one world into another, it actually makes sense if you look at FromSoft's history. Their games have always messed around with time, memory, identity. In Dark Souls, memories fade. In Bloodborne, perception literally changes the world. In Sekiro, resurrection breaks time. And in Elden Ring, we're dealing with a fractured world that's already falling apart. So this next step, characters jumping between worlds, it just doesn't feel like much of a stretch. In all honesty, it feels inevitable. And the gear they bring with them, the fighting styles, that might be all that's left of who they were. So when you see a sword that behaves weirdly or armor that boosts stats in a strange way, that might just be a trace of the universe they came from, a reminder of a world that no longer exists. If you managed to play the Night Rain beta, or even just watched footage, you probably noticed how different it feels. Faster, more aggressive, enemies punish you quicker, there's way more pressure to stay moving. It's a different rhythm. But here's where it gets even weirder. We're not just talking about subtle mechanic tweaks or slightly faster swings. Some of these weapons and styles almost feel imported. Like they're not just FromSoft refining Elden Ring's DNA, but preparing us for a completely new kind of muscle memory. And the more you line that up with what we've seen of Night Rain, the clearer it gets. That game isn't just changing the enemy types or level design, it's shifting the entire language of combat. It's closer to Bloodborne's aggressive or Sekiro's precision than Elden Ring's slower, methodical flow. But FromSoftware doesn't do casual patches, not this late in the game. They plant seeds, they signal, and right now they are signaling a hard pivot into something new. And while we're at it, let's talk about how big this shift might be. Because if Tarnished Edition is secretly onboarding us for Night Rain's combat, then Night Rain itself might be a much more radical departure than we expected. We're not just entering a darker setting or facing new bosses, we're being pushed to relearn how to fight, to unlearn certain Elden Ring instincts, and that's rare. FromSoft has always evolved, but this feels more like a clean break. And honestly, this is kind of exciting. It means both of these releases, Tarnished Edition and Night Rain, aren't just stopgaps between titles, they're connected. So here's the bigger idea. FromSoftware has always worked with cycles. Things repeat, power corrupts, worlds break. We've seen it over and over again across Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and now Elden Ring. But Night Rain doesn't feel like another cycle, it feels like a collision. Like all those separate timelines and realities are crashing into each other. And the Night King, he might be the one making that happen. If you think about it that way, Tarnished Edition isn't just a content update. It's a bridge, a way to carry old characters, old mechanics, and old ideas into a new world, but not quietly, not in the background. This time, they're part of the story, and that story might be about more than just fighting gods or breaking curses. It might be about what happens after the cycle breaks, after all the worlds start bleeding into each other. Well, that's it. What do you guys think? Am I onto something here, or am I just another crazy YouTuber who don't know what the fuck he's talking about? I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and throw a like down on it. Remember everyone, be good to each other. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.